Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Lane Woolscroft.
Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all.
Am I too close to the mic, guys?
A little bit.
Just a little. I bet
better?
everyone wearing headphones right now fucking hates you.
Yeah.
If you're wearing headphones, come with me, and I'll take you on a trip.
A trip to where, though?
Oh, please don't do that. Please
oh my
don't
God,
do that.
stop. Oh.
Why are you trying to torture
We literally
our
can't
audience?
take him anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah, so we're in episode 63.
Yeah, we are. What up?
63 now.
63.
Oh man, I thought we were on 7.
No.
How did I get so sidetracked?
You have a really hard time with time and space. It's okay. Yeah. I think it's because you talk about time travel and Back to the Future so much.
I do. Well, and you also keep me in my cage when we're not recording.
That's true. I like to put the blanket down so you think it's nighttime, just like birds.
Oh. Wait, you mean it's... Oh, you son of a bitch. You've been lying to me.
So I know we're doing a thing, but like I do have to say, like, John talks about Back to the Future and time travel
seriously
so much, like to the point where we're trapped on a car trip. Like I will only allow him to bring it up like twice every 6 hours, like max.
Okay, I gotta ask. Do you like tell him, is this the one time you want to use Back to the Future for this reference?
Usually I just tell him to shut the fuck up. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that mean. But like it's just a running gag now because he'll be like, do you know what bothers me? And I'll be like, is this about Back to the Future? And he'll be like, no. But no, seriously, do you know what bothers me? I'm like, if it's about Back to the Future, I can't help you. I'm sorry. You're done for the hour.
Wow.
But yeah, that's just like a little peek into like road trips
you guys.
with Lane and John.
I'm not playing with you guys anymore.
Every time he traps me in the fucking car and then he wants to talk about time travel.
Well, that's awesome.
Thanks for joining us this week.
Thanks for joining us
on Twitter.
Whatever. That's a good story. That was charming.
No, that is a great story.
People like to know about our lives,
They do.
guys.
They do. So this week we are joined by a special guest.
Very special guest.
Very special guest. The city producer for the 48-Hour Film Project in Pittsburgh, Kahmeela Adams.
Yeah.
Don't get that wrong later, Brian.
I probably will.
Don't get that wrong.
Probably will. Because we never record out of sequence at all.
No.
So, yeah, we'll be joined with Kahmeela right after the break. But before that, we don't have a typical news bit.
We don't.
this
It's
time
not
around.
a typical day. You know?
No, it's not.
I'm feeling fancy. It is hot as dick in here. It's a hot Pittsburgh day, guys.
Yeah. I don't know if I would use dick as describer.
Oh, is that not how you do it?
No, it's hot as balls.
Hot as balls.
That's what you say.
You know, I would imagine it's that little grundle. It's that little meat patty known as the perineum.
You just said meat patty known as the perineum.
Yeah.
He also said grundle.
He's taken, ladies.
You know, it's that bridge over the River Kwai between, you know, your septic tank and your baby makers.
I have never loved you more than I do in this moment, including our wedding day.
Could you imagine just putting your forehead right on there? It's like, oh, the heat. It's like an easy bake oven down here.
Actually.
It's an easy bake oven that smells like balls.
I don't know if I should admit this, but today is our recording day is July 18th, which is John and I's wedding anniversary. So I've had 8 years of wedded bliss with this stud.
Oh, wow.
Don't worry, we're going out to dinner tomorrow.
Awesome.
Wedding night, yeah. Speaking of perineums, but
Whoa!
Whoa.
Speaking of perineum.
Whoa. But yeah, so instead of a news bit, we've actually, since we're talking with Kahmeela and it's dealing with independent filmmakers, we had an independent filmmaker actually reach out to us a couple weeks ago, Nathan Suher, and
sorry for the hold, Nate.
Yeah, sorry for the hold up, but he gave us some short films to review because he was a fan of the show and he was like, hey, you know, I like what you guys are doing. So he gave us 2 short films from his little production company. He's got Next Door.
Brian, don't say little.
No, okay.
There's nothing that drives me more crazy than...
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
making little films, making little movies. Brian didn't mean any harm.
I didn't mean any harm.
he did not.
But we've got Next Door and Scary Little Fuckers. This is a great title.
You know, but the thing is, what I'd love to talk to him about is how the hell did you get that on a promotional poster? How did you get that in a film festival
Film festivals don't give a
program?
shit. You know? If you're going to a horror film festival, they don't care at all.
Yeah, I guess.
I just would have done it more like a Ben Stiller thing and just put in like an O in there, like, Fockers or something.
Or scary little Fukas, which is what
No,
they're actually-
give yourself a radio edit. You know what I mean?
or even like put like the star symbol.
Yeah.
Bleep it out visually.
I'm not one for censoring, but the rest of the world is.
No, but I love the title. So, which one do you want to tackle first?
Well, I think that we should talk about the neighbor one here.
Next Door.
Next Door, because that one is not as insane.
No.
So, yeah.
Still disturbing, though.
Disturbing.
It was a
for
little
sure.
shorter than the other one.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
And so let's start there, and then we'll kind of go to.
So you want to give us a little synopsis?
Madness. Yeah. Honestly, I was by the end of it, I was a little bit confused, and I had to actually, think about what was really happening in the film, because it's kind of shot like. Well, I guess I'll get to it. I don't want to give it away right off the bat, but it's about a neighbor who has the most amazing hair I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god! It was like, it was. I thought it was a wig at first. Like I
Are we
really
sure it's
thought.
not?
No, it definitely isn't. Like it's got to be either colored or whatever. But you can clearly tell that it's hitting the scalp and that sort of thing when some
I
of
was
the
gonna
shots.
say, isn't the actor just gray? It just looked like his hair was gray,
Well,
but he has a young face.
Right, but he has like a young face, and on top of that, like his eyebrows were dark. So
Well, that's
I mean,
not that unusual.
right? But I'm just saying, like it looked to me like it was at times the first time I saw him, like, oh, that's a wig, and it was no, that's the guy's hair. But
He looked like unemployed Gabe Kaplan, kind of. You know what I mean? Like Mr. Cotter got fired from his teaching position, but yeah, he's listening in on his neighbors. The walls are paper thin, and this extreme argument is going down. He hears a gunshot, waits a little bit, goes and finds a woman. The woman in the argument has been shot in the chest. She's slowly dying. He carries her back to his place, which the spatial relations between his place and her place seemed a little odd. I thought at one moment they were roommates and not neighbors.
Yeah,
I really
'Cause-
wanted more from the shooting of that because it was visually a bit confusing.
But but regardless, he takes her to his place, and she keeps kind of, while choking on blood, telling him to call an ambulance. He ends up just putting a pillow over her face and killing her, and deciding that that he's going to make her kind of his dead bride here. Kind of got shades of Last Dance with Mary Jane, Tom Petty going on here. And he ends up bathing her, and the whole thing is like, he kind of has this like Norman Bates like sweetness about it, which is to kind of make it unsettling. Like he's not like just an extreme pervert. Like, oh, I won't watch you while you bathe, and she's just this body just lying in the tub. And he eventually dresses her up, puts makeup on her, and then she starts talking back to him, and then they make sweet love down by the fire. And then he wakes up grinding on his couch, which. Could you imagine if he was over at a friend's house and just crashing on the couch, was having this dream? It's like, oh, well, apparently Ted's humping our couch.
Well, I guess the thing for me is, I didn't know, did the events happen? Was it all
exactly? Yeah, I found this very confusing.
I like that though.
Yeah.
I like that because a lot of this film, at first it starts out as just a regular, ordinary slasher, and as I said, I felt very much like it was Psycho 2. But not Psycho number 2. I meant Psycho TOO. But I just meant that, it felt like very formulaic at the beginning. But then once they start to kind of make the hallucinations happen and you start to question the reality of this character, that ending kind of makes a lot of sense. It's very easily that he could have heard that argument, had that dream, and in the dream he did all these horrible things. He, killed the girl after she got shot, but you don't know.
Yeah,
and it's very ambiguous.
Yeah, because from there he's having a cup of Joe on the front steps, and it's kind of like a duplex situation. So his neighbors, his door is right there next to the neighbor's door, and he basically plants the seeds because the guy works third shift, that his wife was making the hanky panky on the side. and then he goes in and confronts her, and they start arguing, and he starts listening. So, Lane, you had suggested the idea that maybe he had this fantasy, and and like Brian, kind of like what you just said here, that he's trying to make it happen.
That's what I thought from it. I mean, it did play with my expectations, and I liked that I didn't see where it was going right away, because with him hearing the argument and stuff, my first thing was like, why the fuck isn't he calling 911? And I was like, okay, good, that paid off. I think that was important narratively. I think that there were some good instincts to change when because she does come back to life, in a sense, but in his mind, but like, if it's a dream, would we really see both? Or like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think you need to have the juxtaposition of it.
I do. I mean, I would agree if it had really happened, but we're taking it on faith that this was an actual dream. And I just don't think you would dream in that duality of like, we're in love and she's alive, and then but the blue shots mean it's just her dead corpse that I'm defiling. Do you know what I mean?
It's a lot like when there's a narrator's telling a story, and then there are scenes that the narrator wasn't involved in, but somehow they know what happened.
Yeah,
this is. Or you don't even know that in the movie, and then the person's like, and that's how it happened. It's like, but there were moments in that story you apparently were telling us that you weren't there, so how do you know?
Yeah, I did have some POV issues with that.
To explain a little further here, because I think we're being a little vague, there were shots that, and they kind of desaturated them and put kind of a little bit of a blue filter on, that showed like the reality of what was happening. Yeah. There's a scene where he is in a complete delusional way, imagining this woman just wants to make sweet love to him, and they cut that, intersperse that with the shots of basically this dude just banging a corpse.
Right. And visually and I do have to. I'm sorry.
And I do have to say that they did actually, and because it sounds incredibly like profane, but he did handle it with a lot of class. Like, it did not seem like, oh my god,
it didn't seem exploitative.
Yeah, they shot it
creepy as hell.
Yeah. No, but that's the point.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what you want.
It didn't cross the genre too much, but what I was gonna say, sorry to interrupt you, John, but just the visual cues of like, the added blue filter. We knew that was reality as it was, as opposed to what in his mind he was imagining, where she's not bloody and she's not dead. I think it's just a POV issue, because if it's really a dream, I just don't. It's telling us, the audience, like, he thinks she's alive, but she's really dead. But if it's a dream, then there is no audience. We don't have a way to see anything, because we can't live in his subconscious.
I think the problem ultimately is that you've got a motif with the difference in reality inside of a dream. So if it's a matter of, like, I'm okay with it, just because the way I envision dreams is that, if you're having a dream, just as a person, something will be in reality and focus, and then in the next it will be distorted and all over the place. Like, dreams are never just, based in reality. You might have some things that are derived from it, but they're never just like a literally a replay of reality. But I think it's a matter of, if you had those visual cues throughout the part of it, and then you found, he wakes up and it's a dream, I think it wouldn't be too jarring. You know what I mean?
I could see that.
It's just that you're getting it in that one section where it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Maybe it's a matter of the corpse starts talking to him as she's bloodied.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what might have made it better, is if,
or two, because he
just kind of comes awake.
He uses it briefly when she's in the shower, but there's no difference in the reality of those two shots. If she had been like humming a tune, or like closing her eyes in bliss in the tub with the filter on, we'd be like, wait, what? And then we'd see, real, dead.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I got that backwards. Like, if she was like dead, and then we saw the filter and she was, with that. But she was dead in both of those scenes when we first introduced the visual cue, and that sort of kind of muddied it, I think, a little bit further. I think it was a good instinct to like change how we visually perceive both ways.
But it's just a matter, if you're going to do that, then make it reality and not make it a dream.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, I thought it was it was well shot.
It was
Really
definitely
well
an interesting
edited.
take on the whole idea. There were a few cuts. Again, like I said, I thought that the area spatially was confusing, and I would like to see a little bit different editing there for sure.
I thought the shots were clean, but I think they could have provoked a little more emotion with a little bit of I don't want to say, well, I guess like a little bit more like noir lighting. Just push the effect of the lighting a little bit more to help kind of carry that feel. And I did not care for the music, which is something that's easy if he could tell me to go F myself if I love the music, but it would be something very easy to fix, if you needed to lay down a new track. It really felt like stock music that was layered down, and I mean that's what a lot of us do in a lot of situations.
Sure.
But it just didn't feel like it fit, and
It was a bit repetitive.
yeah. So, but
It was a little too quirky because I feel like the whole like twist of this is to make it seem as romantic in Otto's mind as possible, and to try to push that and to go really genuine with it.
Yeah.
Because the juxtaposition of her actually being dead makes it all the creepier.
Yeah. No.
So yeah.
Good points.
it was definitely good for a short film. Like it wasn't one of those.
Oh yeah, he did a good job
I
of keeping
make
it short.
epic, and it's short. So I have everyone literally just riddling the movie with exposition in order to like get out something that is actually 60 minutes, but I want to do it in 12.
Yeah, well, one thing I liked about this, and it might be interesting to even take it a little bit further, I think about this all the time. Like when we were in graduate school, our professor, when she had us do our short films, she didn't allow us to have any dialogue. And I remember when we were students, I was like, what the fuck, man? But I'll tell you what, I think that probably saves so many people from making a lot of mistakes. I feel like less was more. I think in this case, the fact that there wasn't a lot of dialogue really helped the film. And I think it would be even interesting to like not have any until he talks to the neighbor, like at the very end of the film. I think that would be interesting too. That might be like a cool way to go with it. But I thought that was a smart choice to not have a lot of dialogue, because that sort of thing can really drag a movie down when all you really need a lot of the time is the visuals.
Yeah, good points. So the next film of his is Scary Little Fuckers, a Christmas movie.
This one I did not like as much.
Me too.
I love this one.
Yeah.
Really?
I really did.
I feel like a lot of things that are just my personal hallmarks for my expectations of media were part of it. Very early in the film, the dad character, and I mean, I guess basically like it's a lot like Gremlins.
It's an homage
to Gremlins, right?
Absolutely.
So, but in the very beginning, like one of the main dad character, he says the R word. He says retard.
Yeah.
If you want me to be on the side of your main character, like if you want me to like them, you can't have them use that word.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to like the dad.
You're not
character.
supposed to like that character.
Right, but I mean, we have to deal with him for so long, and
Yeah.
to make me hate him so instantly, I thought that was a shame. I don't know.
It's almost like he's supposed to be the hero, the redeemed hero at the end.
He's redeemed somehow, and it's like, no, I hate
it's like,
you.
no,
though.
you use that word.
Even though
Yeah.
he was like gonna bang a 16-year-old girl.
Well, no, I mean, like that was
That
another
was a
problem I
little
had
weird.
too.
It was
'Cause
creepy.
I thought that the. Well, John, do you want to just take us through it real quick?
Yeah.
And then we can go point by point.
Yeah. So he goes into he starts narrating, and he says, well, I got a story for you. I know everybody's got a story. Oh no, that's Gremlins. No, I'm just teasing you, buddy. But yeah, but it does open up very much like Gremlins. It's a Christmas store that he goes into, and there's a very sickly old man. That he's trying to buy a gift for his son off of, and the guy
Fuka.
Yeah, the father is clearly drunk. That's like a big thing for his character. He's always hammered. And then he comes across these Fukers, which are kind of Mogwais, I suppose.
Yeah.
And he
I just
talks
love
the
the
guy
name,
into
the
selling
Fuka.
them. Yeah. Talks the guy into selling them, but with the rule, don't ever put them in the same cage. So he comes home, and we get this juicy bit of exposition where it's like, well, Christmas is ruined because Mom's dead, Dad. Like, oh, thanks for telling us. We get that little bit for us to know that Mom had died. And then he's like, well, I got you this gift. And he ignores it at first, and the son, and he goes up to Pal. By the way, the 15-year-old son, I think, was played by like a 26-year-old man.
And that was
I was going to say
purposeful,
that.
it seemed.
No, That's one of my biggest criticisms.
I think it was supposed to be purposeful, and I think it was supposed to be humorous. I do think that part of things fell a little bit flat. I mean, that guy was clearly like 26.
Well, it was not just him; it was the girl too.
Yeah,
like,
she was clearly like 21.
And it's like, oh, she's got a retainer. I'm like, no, those actors are too old.
And, well, like I said, I thought it was like to be ironic and to be funny, but furthermore, the retainer thing made me fucking crazy. I hated that. It like made my skin crawl.
Yeah.
Are you having flashbacks to your dental care?
No, dude, I wore that thing for like 2 minutes. Like, so I had braces twice, you guys. Like, I had them once when I was 8, and then I had to get them again when I was 14 because my dentist, or my orthodontist, fucked it up. Mm-hmm. So I had to get them again. I'm talking full mouth braces, full mouth rubber bands. I looked like a fucking freak.
Do you have headgear?
I did when I was younger, but that had figured it out because I had an underbite like Keira Knightley, and the headgear corrected it. No, I don't. But
suck it, Keira Knightley.
But when I got braces the second time, I got them on Groundhog Day, I remember. Yeah. And I wore the rubber bands and did all the shit so religiously, they were gone by May. Because I was like, fuck this, I'm out. They were like, here's your retainer. And I got like it's zebra striped. Mm-hmm. And, they're like, here's the 2 retainers and you have to wear these and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, whatever, fuck it. Because by that time, I was 14. I'd had braces for 8 years. Jesus. And I was like, I'm so fucking done with anything going on in my mouth. Because, I mean, I had all the shit. I had the expander that makes your palate bigger.
I have that.
Yep, the key that you turn to literally spread your fucking palate up top. That is messed up,
yes,
by the
it
way.
is.
I love that the person who's just like Jack Nicholson in our show opener, who's like real into dental work, is jerking it so hard right now.
Like, oh my god,
dude! If this is anybody's thing, I mean, I will bitch about my braces all day long. Yeah. But by the time I had them the second time, I was like, no, guys, like I'm not doing that shit. So like,
don't stop now.
So you want to tell me anybody, is going to wear their retainer a second longer than they have to? Number one is totally, that's unrealistic. And I mean, that's a silly gripe to have.
And, like, the thing was,
it just seemed gross to me.
Well, it just seemed why she was taking it out and
like,
putting it back in over
weird.
And over again.
This is weird.
Like, every 5 seconds.
Because it was clearly, it had to be the actresses, because those things aren't universal,
It was like she was treating it like it was a lollipop. Kind of.
I mean, I guess it was just like an oral fixation kind of thing. But I think even though I wasn't crazy about the violence against a woman in his other short, I didn't mind it so much because it was a different, little bit of a twist to a story, and and no problem like seeing like violence necessarily. But in this one, I just didn't like how the female character just had like absolutely no redeeming qualities, because you guys could argue like none of them had redeeming qualities, but they also weren't the main character. Or they also were like the main characters. So in this case, you have like a secondary character who's a woman, and just, I don't know. They kept intimating that she was a whore and that she was like after, the guy's dad, and it was just yucky. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the handling of the female character. Because I feel like I've seen all those tropes before.
Like, I'm going to fight you on this one, on the first one. I think the first movie was more about the disturbing nature of the male psyche. And how he wanted her as his trophy, as he wanted her. So the idea that like he was going to kill her so he could make her exactly how he wanted without her having any level of consent. Like, this will be my perfect woman because she won't be able to talk back, or I can decide what she says. I think it was more about, toxic manhood than it is about anything about, the way women were that came off. Because, so I think it's more about negativity or the negatives of man than it is being,
and
against women.
I actually think we agree, and I just don't think we realize it because we're coming at it from different angles. I'm not saying that it illustrated women in a bad light, the first one. It illustrates something that we see all the time. We see domestic violence. We see violence against women. And by putting that story out into the media again, you're perpetuating those stereotypes, those mindsets. It's systemic attitudes against women. So you're seeing yet another situation where women are the victims, like you said, where their autonomy is taken away and that sort of thing. By putting that out in the space of media, you know, and like I said, I mean, of the offenses that I've seen, you know, in the past, like this guy, I thought he handled the subject matter pretty well, but it still remains to be seen. You know, we see these things happen in the media, and it, you know, it tends to be reflected in life. So I think in a weird way we agree. I'm not saying that the filmmaker said anything bad about women. I'm just saying by telling this story, there's yet another story out there where a woman was killed by a domestic partner, and then all of her autonomy was taken away by this creep. You know, I'm not saying that says anything bad about women. It's just we're exposed to that story yet again where, you know, that's something that happens in real life. And, you know, these stories in the media don't help that.
though, you could take that and apply it to anything in the horror genre, though.
Well, I mean,
like,
the horror genre, let's be plain, is not feminist. There's nothing very feminine
but I mean,
about
you
it.
do have female directors
cases.
who do the horror genre, though.
Right, but I mean, those are the exception of the rule. I mean, as a whole, I don't think the horror genre is very kind to women. I would love to see that change, but I mean, I just don't think that that's something that is a thing.
I think, though, it really depends on the era that you're looking at, too. You know, most modern horror, with the exception of a few, you know, it's not as bad as it was, say, in, like, the 80s.
Well, I mean, but that's a very slippery slope, because that's not much of a comparison, because it was real bad in the 80s. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that much better, really. But I mean, you know, it's something we can explore. I mean, I'm not saying it's an utter failure of the genre. I just don't think it's very female forward anyway. But like I said, John, I think you and I are saying the same thing. We just see it a little differently. But like I said, in the Christmas one, that was the only thing that really stuck in my craw. Like, I just didn't think that the female character even really added anything to the story. And I thought that, you know, I mean, to get another face in there was maybe nice for a little bit of change. But it was really a story of a dad and his son. Yeah. And I would have had no problem with it just being as such.
Well, I think it was mostly done for comedic value, honestly.
Right. And I
because I mean, they were really playing off of the Gremlins thing.
Yeah.
Well, she was the story catalyst to put them together in the same cage, because, you know, she's like, you can grab my titties if you
And again,
together.
I wasn't crazy about that either. You know.
Yeah, the whole movie was riddled with, like, you know, like, goofy, how much can we try to shock you humor.
Yeah, and the Gremlins isn't really like that.
Which I love that. I love that. I loved it.
Yeah, but I think it was at the cost of any character that not only just was relatable or likable, but also that you could tolerate. Mm-hmm. Like, I did enjoy this, you know, but I kind of more from, like, looking at it from the outside. Like, I didn't get personally invested, but I kind of just enjoyed it as a successful short film. But the characters were just a little too obnoxious for me.
Mm-hmm. They're very extreme, and they were designed as such. But yeah, like you said, I mean, to have the female character to be put in there, you know, and a lot of her parts were, I thought, very outrageous. That is a very big departure, I think, from Gremlins, because, you know, the Phoebe Cates character is very sweet, and the relationship between her and the guy is very sweet. I mean, she's a really fucked up backstory.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's
so unnecessary in that movie.
It is, but it's a huge departure, you know.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we had 3 Cousin Eddies. Like, you know, so we have another Christmas movie. You know, we needed a Clark, and we needed a what's Clark's wife's name?
Oh,
Ellen. Yes.
Yeah, and then we needed a Cousin Eddie. The dad could have been Cousin Eddie. That's fine, but I feel like the
son, I think, is probably the closest you're gonna get to a Clark.
But he had that short film character thing where he was whiny and just shocked by how stupid people were around him.
But that's why I say he's close.
Yeah,
he's like the most relatable person in the film.
But again, just to be clearly
it's still
old.
very over the top. I mean, I love over the top films like this. I think it's literally a love letter to ridiculous 80s horror films.
I thought the sound effects for the monsters were really good.
I thought the sound effects were great. Makeup was great.
And I thought they did a good job of, like, the light you don't turn on. Mm-hmm. I thought, especially in the early parts, because I could have seen a lot less of the monsters and been perfectly satisfied. I felt like the more we saw, the less I was invested. I guess it took me out of it a little bit more the more we saw of them. Because in the early shots, like those POV shots, like from inside the cage, I thought those were really genius. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, that was an awesome way of not having to use anything, but still giving us the entire idea of what's going on.
It almost reminded me a lot of the movie Critters.
Oh, I've heard of that.
You didn't really see the monster. You just saw like the rolling balls, and then that was it.
Yeah, and I could have seen a lot less and been just happy with it, because I thought that was a good way to do it.
The ending shot I didn't like. I'll be honest.
Me neither.
Guys,
because again, I thought the less is more attitude was perfect.
Before we get there, just can somebody explain to me why they have herpes?
Oh yeah, well here's the thing.
Why
so
did they get herpes?
They said don't put them in the same cage, and it makes the fukas reproduce. But it's like an explosion, and then it gives everybody that touches them herpes.
Yep.
That was what was wrong with the guy in the shop in the beginning.
Okay, so they were either touched by him or they touched them, and that gave them herpes.
Yeah, because all of them were attacked by one at one point or another,
Yep.
and that's when they start to get the herpes. And I looked it up, and that's pretty much what herpes would look like.
Pretty much what herpes. Yeah,
saw way more dick pics than I wanted. Do not Google herpes, kids.
Yeah, thanks a lot for all those ball sack shots, Elaine.
Oh yeah, every nasty one I found, I was like, ew, and I shoved it in John's face.
Oh god,
I'm a jerk.
Yeah, but
it looked like the penis was in middle school. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, John, that was so gross.
yeah, but I mean, just all around. I mean, I thought that these films were really well done shorts.
A lot of good here.
Wait,
I
hold
think
on, you
the
guys are
length was
wrapping
good.
up. You guys are wrapping up, but I actually liked the last shot because it was one of those they didn't show the monsters that much, like like you said, Elaine. But I feel that when you do that, one of the shots, and if not the last shot, kind of needs to be like, here is everything. And they kind of Brian, I think you didn't like it because the shots were a little cheesy looking.
Yeah, my thing
but the
with
whole thing was supposed to be
right. My thing with it though was
funny.
like. I didn't understand why there was a giant one and why there was like
That
a
bothered me too,
medium-sized
Brian.
one. I'm like, why can't you just have like a horde of small little
I think he was
It's all
going
plays
over
well in
the
China.
top.
Yeah.
I think he was going way over the. You know what I mean? Like just like going for it.
He was definitely just like,
And I appreciate
screw it.
that.
And I really do
Balls
too.
to the
But I
wall.
just felt like for me that went. It's hard to say with a movie called Scary Little Fuckers that it went a little too over the top in that
Sure.
regard. Like I was just like, really? Okay. But no, I thought that his films were really well done, just on the whole, so to speak.
Like I said,
know?
I thought that the length was right on target. You
Yeah.
know, I know that shorts are hard to market, but I think he was really smart to keep them short and not try to like lengthen them in any way.
Yeah, I think he did very well. My suggestion to him would be, and it was Brian, it's one of the things you wrote in your article, would be production value as much as humanly possible. And the second movie, it did not seem at all, and I mean, maybe he filmed it in April, I don't know, but it did not seem like Christmas at all.
Or winter. Yeah, that's true.
And it was very...
That's hard to do. It's easy to overlook that.
And in the first film we watched, like, the apartments were very scant. You know, there wasn't much, like, it didn't seem, like anybody lived there, and it was probably like the filmmaker's apartment, and he took out everything that like was unique to him, and like and just like bare bones left.
Yeah.
So yeah, as much as you can, and production value doesn't always have to cost money. Talk to your friends.
Borrow
Talk to
shit.
go to mom and dad's. I'll be like, Mom, Dad, what can I take for the weekend? Talk to antique places. Sometimes just having them in the film, like if you have a film that's supposed to have like a flashback scene, talk to an antique place. They may allow you, if you sign off on it, that if you break it, you bought it, like allow you to borrow
Or
like an
rent.
old time radio or a phone,
Or rent them.
Yeah, or rent them.
Unless you're Kurt Russell. He can't do that anymore. Do you know why?
Oh
Did
yeah,
you-
the guitar.
yeah.
And the Hateful Eight, the
Yeah.
Tarantino film.
It makes
yeah.
my stomach hurt. Still, good to know. That story still makes my stomach hurt.
So yeah,
but-
don't be afraid to push the dynamic lighting and the production value. Otherwise, you're doing great stuff, and I think he's working on a feature now.
He is.
So
Yeah.
He is.
Excited to see what
all the
comes
best
of
to you,
that.
and hopefully you'll come on the show with that and let us take a look at that and talk about your feature when it's completed.
Yeah, you can do if you want to see these films on your own. I mean, we found them on YouTube for the most part.
yeah.
But his company is called Film Filmworks, so look him up on YouTube, Nathan Suher, and give his films a look.
Yeah, guys, check them out. That's the thing about being an independent filmmaker or independent artist of any kind, is just having people stop to actually take a look at this kind of stuff. And I think the first one was like about 13 minutes. The second one's like 20.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to give up too much of your life. Just,
Check it out.
and that helps him by getting views on his channel.
That's right.
Getting his video out to as much people as possible. So check them out. They're funny. The first one is is a good thriller. We kind of spoiled it for you, but you can still enjoy it. And the second one's, is funny and just like a little bit more, just goofy in its style, which is good too. So, you get two different brands, two different styles. So I would say check them out. And
Cool. So that's great stuff. We're going to take a short little break. We're going to throw it to our friends over at the Epicast Network. And when we come back, we'll get to our featured interview with Kahmeela Adams of the 48-Hour Film Project, Pittsburgh.
Try not to miss us too much.
All right, pause. You're enjoying this Epicast Network show, but what are you going to listen to next?
Come over and listen to us, Does This Hold Up podcast.
It's a movie review show where we take films from the past, analyze them, answer the question to does this hold up?
Not really.
Not really, no. We talk about things like Karate Kid. You've all seen it. You love it. But do you remember Mr. Miyagi gets blackout drunk and talks about how many Germans he's killed in the war?
You've seen Goonies. Have you seen Mouth? He's not Mouth because he's loud. Mouth can fit a lot of things in his mouth.
He's terrific at oral.
He's known for how many round things he can juggle with his tongue.
So come over, check out Does This Hold Up whenever you're done with whatever Epicast TV show you're listening to now.
Go to epicastnetwork.com, epicast.tv.
At Does This Hold Up.
And we're back. That was a message from our friends over at the Epicast Network, specifically, Does This Hold Up?
Yeah, thank God we're back. People don't know this, but when we go away on break, the whole room just goes black. It's hard to breathe. And we hear weird howlings from creatures that are... do we enter another dimension? I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not sure if it's another dimension or if it's maybe hell.
It could be
I
both.
just assumed hell.
Why do you guys not have nosebleeds when we come back? Why is that only me?
I got nothing on that one.
Do you go to the sunken place?
Yes, the sunken place is where John goes, apparently.
But here, the reason I mentioned Does This Hold Up is because they recently just came back after the 3-month hiatus.
With Spider-Man.
No, they didn't come out with Spider-Man.
What?
The Blind Side.
The Blind Side. Oh.
Yeah, they were reviewing that film.
I'm thinking of something totally different.
You're thinking of You Can't Handle the Truth.
Sure am.
You got,
oopsies.
You got your movie podcasts all twisted.
My poor face and brain.
But check them out. Check us out. Check out Drinking Partners, all those guys.
I hate Blindside, by the way.
That movie.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah. I love Drinking Partners, though. Did you guys see all the awesome photos on Epicast's Instagram?
Our friend was there.
Yeah, Ryan. He went with them to Trogs, right?
Yep.
I want to go to Trogs and take photos of the abandoned minecart graveyard or trolley graveyard and shit. That sounded like the best road trip ever.
A bunch of beer.
Right? And all the food they posted, I had major FOMO, guys. It was awesome. Yeah. You guys should check out Epicast's Instagram.
Definitely right. But so we're going to jump into our featured interview for this episode. We're joined by the city producer for the 48-Hour Film Project. Film Project.
How many years, Brian?
1 job.
5. 48-Hour Film Project in Pittsburgh. Kahmeela Adams or Friedson, which one?
Adams is professional.
Professional, okay.
Yes. Hello,
welcome.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Well, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, so this week's pretty much
I'm sorry, I'm
crazy.
a little bit distracted by all the geekdom that's in this room right here. Like specifically the psychology of Dexter.
I'm not a giant man-child.
Not at all.
This is a lot to look at, I feel. If you're not totally immune to it. It's like a cat and unicorn stuffed animal in one corner. And
well, now I know how people feel like when because I have my little space, my recording space, my office at my house is nerd out. So I understand. I get what people.
It's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
Respect that.
All right, blinders. You got me.
Yeah. So this week is pretty crazy.
Yes.
You got the 48-Hour Film Project. Basically, last week.
Yes, it was the filmmaking weekend. And this weekend is the screenings. Friday and Saturday at the Oaks Theater.
Very cool.
There will be 3 separate. We had 38 teams total, which is a little down from previous years, but that's okay. That means that's a little bit less work that I got to do this year.
Right.
But yeah, so there's 38 teams. There'll be 37 films because one gentleman decided to pull his film. He was not happy with it.
I never understood that.
I guess I don't know.
It's 48 hours. Is anybody really going to judge you that hardly?
Right,
that harshly,
exactly. Like,
rather?
you made a film in 48 hours. Come on.
That's an First of all, the fact that you had an idea, you basically went through it, wrote a script, did all the acting, did all the production, edited the damn thing,
right?
And you crapped it out in 48 hours.
Crapped it out.
Yes.
Oh yeah, every creative thing is crapped out.
Rendering is kind of like the digestion, right? You know.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Then you put it on a DVD and
sometimes it's like an IBS situation. So
Sometimes there's a lot of binding in that.
This got real dark real fast, you guys.
But I never understood that because. I've mentioned this before, but I was the city editor for the 40-Hour Film Project.
Yes, and damn good at it.
Thank you. For a couple of years. Shameless plug. And, I know we always encountered filmmakers that were like that. They're like, oh, I got this film and it's done, but I'm pulling it. I don't want people to see it.
Right.
And I'm like, why?
Is that common that people pull out?
I would say like at least one a year.
Usually one a year was it.
Huh.
And I get it. I think it's anxiety.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of they're kind of afraid of what people are going to think. But I think, you got to feel that everyone is going to have problems with their film.
Exactly. Everyone's going to not see it as a perfect. It's not going to be a perfect film.
Usually it's sound.
Yes. Yes. This year I did a series of workshops in some of the areas that people sometimes seem to have troubles with, and I try to give all these people. Give my children all of the tools that they need to try to make as best a film as possible. And I offered these free workshops. Not everybody took advantage of them, which I wish they should have.
Yeah.
But Chris Bell, he led the audio and sound engineering, and he is just like a maverick. Like this dude, that was free advice from Chris Bell. He's awesome at his job. We did one on editing for the 48. We did one on storytelling, and we did one on acting. So. Hopefully the ones who did take advantage of it, they learned some stuff. And I haven't had a chance to watch any of the films yet, so I don't know what's out there.
It's a fun
yet.
Experience. It's real fun. But so I got to ask, how did you get involved with film in general? I know that's like the $1 million question.
Right.
It's like
Film in general.
Start when you were born.
I was born.
Baby previous life. Yeah.
Baby Kahmeela. Let's see. I think my first interest in film, this is weird, but it came to be when I think I was in 4th or 5th grade, and they showed us High Noon.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason, I forget why. That was what we were watching, but I was just completely enamored by
the teacher was hungover.
Exactly.
They're just like, I'm not teaching math today,
He's
kids.
like, what do I have in my drawer? Oh, got High Noon.
I guess you should be thankful. That's all he had in his drawer was High Noon.
It was a little different from his usual High Noon, but
could have had Evil Dead. Okay, that could have been what was in there.
Yeah, but yeah. So I was just I think that may have been the first black and white film that I just sat and watched the whole time. And for some reason, I was like, I don't think I've ever watched it since. But for some reason, that was my interest in it. And then from there, my mom, she always liked to show us a lot of after that point at a certain age, she started to show us Whatever Happened to Baby Jane and The Bad Seed, Children of the Corn, and your
mom was really into the weird horror,
it's
right?
Weird because she would say that she's not a horror fan.
But no, you can't say that.
Bottom of the shelf video rental store horror movies, like The Shining and Rosemary's Baby's over here.
But she was, but
she's like, oh, I don't like horror, but by the way, would you like to watch Children of the Corn?
Yes, but Mommy Dearest, that was okay too. That was, and I don't remember if she's the one who showed me Psycho, but.
You sure she just went really into Joan Crawford, or
I got really into Joan Crawford. As
once you watch Mommy Dearest, you're just like, I gotta know more about this Psycho.
Exactly, it's I was all about Joan Crawford and Faye Dunaway. It was just that was it. I need all of it. So and at that point, I was really interested and started to be a film buff. I started to get more and just watch just about any and everything. Way back when. I'm from the time when cable was very few channels still, and there was the box. They'd bring the movie channel box into your house, and then you turn the dial, and there would only be 4 or 5 movies playing that month. So
That's
Red Dawn, Red Sonja,
that's
Romancing the Stone.
That's right when HBO came out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I would watch those films over and over again. And I think in high school, somebody came and gave us a presentation, and the video that they had, I don't even remember what they were schlepping, but the video was so well edited. That's what got me interested in editing. So, I mean, that's basically my foray into.
Did you go to school for film?
I went to the Art Institute.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the reaction most people have when they mention Art Institute? Yeah.
Yep. That's basically it. Like, it was. I say that they didn't have, when I went, they did not have a 4-year program.
Yeah.
And what I would have done differently is I would not have just concentrated on film and video production. I would have done like multimedia for 1. 2, I was like straight out of my mom's house, into a new city. Like 2 years go by, and like I was like, holy shit, like, you know, like woo, woo, you know, freedom.
You're like, I'm at the fucking city,
yeah, party, yeah, woo. Oh shit, it's time to graduate. So like, I didn't really do.
Is that
as
not
much.
how everybody does? I mean, because that sounds.
Well, usually by then, like, if you're in a 4-year college, like the 2 years goes by, and then it's like, oh, now it's time to get serious. Then it's like,
that never
now
happened.
it's.
I don't know. That tale still sounds hauntingly familiar.
But yeah, like I did not do what I should have done. I didn't pay as much attention as I should have. But yeah, the Art Institute. Yeah.
The Art Institute.
Slow pause.
Slow pause there.
So you forgot this. Always. You're gonna take a sip.
You love doing that. It's your favorite.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, how did the 40-hour film project? Excuse me. How did you get involved with that?
I competed the first 2 years.
Okay.
The first year, before it was even a thing, just before they went specific cities, it was still pretty new. They did it just nationwide, and you did everything online. So they would like email everybody the elements, and then you have to mail, like FedEx your film to them. So we did that, and that wasn't just like Pittsburgh, and you know, we did not do well, but we had fun. So and we had Western, I think was our.
Yeah.
You're
like, shit.
It was like the one that nobody wanted, but surprisingly, we all had enough, like together, we had enough shit to pull it together. Like there was like, everyone had cowboy hats, bandanas, someone had like steer horns. It was just like boots and buckles. Everyone was like, okay, for a group that really didn't want Western. And then like the second year was that I competed, it was Pittsburgh specific. Actually, I competed three years. And so it was just like a bunch of us, and then like by that 4th year, the guy that I was working with as my director, Todd Foltz, shout out, he moved, and I was like, well, I'm not going to try to find anybody else to work with, and a couple other of my friends had moved out of Pittsburgh also, so I decided that I wasn't going to compete again that year. But then the guys who were producing, they said they weren't going to do it anymore. And I thought, well, that sucks, because this is a really cool thing to have here in Pittsburgh. And so I was like, well, you know, I'll send in my resume and see what happens. And there it is.
There you go.
Here we are.
Yep.
Bada boom.
So, I mean, I feel like our audience is probably pretty familiar with the concept of a 48-hour film project. I mean, is there anything we should break down? Because there's like some cool rules that like the normal person might not know, because there's things you have to include.
My elevator pitch is this. Filmmakers sign up beforehand online on that Friday as the kickoff. And then at the kickoff, all the filmmakers come together, and they pull a genre out of a hat randomly, and they all get assigned the same line of dialogue, same prop, the same character, and they have 48 hours to go make their 4 to 7 minute film.
And I imagine those specific rules are to kind of keep anybody from having something already in the can.
Exactly.
Cheating.
Exactly.
Because it has to be created from the moment kickoff ends.
Yes,
and then
everything. There are things you can do beforehand, but nothing creative really. Like you can, you know, pick your team, secure equipment, locations, costumes, props, and all that jazz. But as far as like writing, or even the music should be scored during that time period, unless you get like some royalty-free stuff, you know, online or whatever. But yeah, everything else, like there's no stock footage, you can't use that. It's all just created during that 48-hour time period.
Yeah, when we did it, we got romance.
We played in 2011, I think. And our film was fucking terrible, but I have never had so much fun. Oh, man, it was just awesome.
That's what a lot of people don't realize, which kind of, you know, sucks, because a lot of times, you know, you're not going to gain fame and fortune from this.
No.
This is more what I see it as about building a film community, you know, learning more about yourself and your friends creatively, and also endurance, and like just figuring out. Yeah, and like when I competed, I learned what it is about film that I like and what I don't like. I absolutely learned I hate being on set, Like that's it. Like I prefer pre and post production.
That's funny because I like that too, and I think that that's more rare. Because production, like I mean, I'm cold or hot,
right?
You know, like I'm bored.
It's a lot of hurry up and
you know,
wait.
the only thing I'll do is like I like working with the actors. That's fun on set, but like everything else, I'm like I don't care.
Right, exactly.
Oh my god, because you probably got everybody to set, right? Like that's what I usually do. Like everybody's here. My job is over.
Exactly.
I'm
like,
tired.
I would very much like to leave now.
Yeah, that's funny. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's really funny.
So yeah, a lot of people just kind of miss that point, and then especially as we were saying before, it's like once you've completed a film in 48 hours, like how psyched should you be about that? And
very
creatives, we need a deadline, like because there's like. How many times you got an idea? I got notebooks full of ideas that.
Or two, like you work on something and like a year later, you're like, I should really still tweak that.
George Lucas never learned that.
No, he did not. He did
Just
not.
let it go, dude. It's ours now.
Yeah, I remember picking genres the year that we played though, and we got romance and like. You had, me and John and another friend of ours named Brian. Actually, he lives in Texas now. But we wanted like anything in the horror realm, like even Colos have been fine.
Horror, sci-fi, suspense.
Yeah, any thriller. And we get romance. And I mean, we were like, what the fuck? I mean, I think we wasted 2 hours just sitting, like beating our heads against the wall because we're like, what the fuck are we gonna do?
I immediately realized it has to be same sex. Like I'm not doing anything like cookie cutter, like, and it's gonna be comedic and and
there's quite a great
on the edge.
I think there's quite a great community for it in Pittsburgh too, because it is very much like a sport, and for nerds, and and we.
It's. I mean, I remarked on this last year about the 3 types of film nerds.
Yes,
Well,
and you see them all.
Let's recap. Part one. I said that you had your really slick, like the designer.
Yes.
Nerd who comes in, he's like, I'm not really a film nerd. I'm Mr. Hollywood.
Exactly. With the sunglasses.
With the sunglasses, slick back hair.
Or he's usually got
Nicholson.
Oh, the blazer and jeans.
Blazer
what a
and
portrait
jeans.
that paints, isn't
Pompadour.
Yes.
With the grease.
Yes.
Okay.
Glasses
and then you've got.
Or she doesn't need.
Yes.
And then you've got your film school nerd. Who's wearing usually like a director t-shirt or a director hat.
Yes.
Or flannel shirt and a Green Lantern t-shirt.
Yes.
And in the hat that says director.
Yes, absolutely.
Backwards.
So,
maybe a beard.
Yes.
Maybe a neck beard.
Or no, not yet.
I'm just kidding.
Not yet.
I know the types.
Okay.
I know the types.
And then you've got your mutants.
Wait, how is number 2 not a mutant?
Number 2 is not a mutant. It's like the middle ground. You've got your mutants who are like, they're wearing I know because I'm part of the both. Okay? I go, but I'm a hybrid, But you've got
Brian,
your
invest in some vests, and maybe you can be all 3.
I can't be slick. I can't, because I don't have the ability. But I'm just saying, like, there's sometimes you see some people, you're just like, you haven't got out of the basement in a while, have you?
Exactly. Yes.
And it's nothing negative. I'm just saying.
You can spot them.
You can spot them, and they're usually all clustered in one corner. They're like, I don't want to talk to anyone unless they're wearing the same horror movie shirt as I'm wearing.
Right.
If that's it, then we're cool.
Then we can be friends.
If you haven't seen Bubblegum Crisis, they just think you are the
It's
devil.
like, what do you mean you've never seen Brain Damage? Fuck you.
Like there's that type that's like that wants to judge you so harshly on everything you've seen or haven't seen.
Those are your neckbeards.
Oh yeah, no. I'll be negative. I feel like there's a certain level and different tone of mansplaining in every single one of those genres.
Sweet fancy Moses. Just the amount. First of all, just the amount.
Well,
of
hold
people.
on, ladies. Let me tell you something.
What I think you
Let
mean
me break
is
it down for you right now, ladies.
Here's what you're trying to say.
Right. There are my husband. He helps me a lot. Mostly like right at the events and everything, and also just mentally like getting prepared for this shit. But like at the events, like people will beeline to him thinking that he's the one in charge and like completely bypass me, even though like my name is on just about everything. I've been the one talking. My photo is on the website. Yeah. Like,
dude,
it's just like
I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation like that where I'm the one holding the camera and like the client is adjacent, but like it's for a client, and then the event is like in conjunction with them, and then they come up and they're like, "Oh, are you sure you can handle that, honey?" Like. dude,
Whoa.
like the people that you're here for, they hired me. You go suck it. Like, yeah, sorry. I feel like it's nice to like talk to another lady.
Yes.
Because that is the thing. Like, I mean,
Well, then their penises start barking at them, like just.
Do they think their penis is just gonna fix the aperture for me? Like,
Yes.
I don't get it.
Yes, they do.
Well, and
Let me
two,
get that for you.
Well, let me pull this out and see what happens. I mean, nothing bad can happen.
my favorite is, are you sure you can handle all that? Are you sure you can like go fuck yourself?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
The worst. Yeah, but yeah, I think that there's but I mean there's a ton of people that do it, and you know it's cool, but you know the film community is a nice element, I think, to Pittsburgh's culture. And I know that the year that we did it, we were, you know, we were just naive, like we'd never done it before, so like we didn't really. I mean, I asked a good friend if she would be in it beforehand. You know, I said like, hey, clear that weekend, but I didn't think to like, you know, talk about it and talk to anybody else until it was like too late. We had actors that we worked with, and I mean, I'm not saying like I asked them the day of, but you know, like even like I think like 2 weeks in advance, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, like I'm already assigned a team, and you know, we just didn't know. But yeah, so for ours, like John and I are both in it because we just didn't have anybody else, you know. And I just think it's a fun puzzle, I think, because once the script is done, that's all the shit that I like you said, like getting locations, like getting all that stuff, and like looking at the fine print, because like we shot ours on Chatham, and I know we were supposed to have like the releases and stuff, and I looked it up, and Chatham we shot outside, and it's actually a national arboretum. I always say
arboretum.
Arboretum. I always say the word wrong. I always say it
I
wrong.
love arboretums.
Arboretum.
I got that
Since
at
it's a
Chipotle.
national arboretum,
Sounds delicious.
it does, and it's a public park, and they're by public land.
Oh,
so you don't need a release.
What about when we went inside?
I've never. Shh, with your face. It was on the public land.
Shh with your face.
So, but no, I mean, it's just funny because that's the stuff that interests me.
Yeah.
And I was like, we don't need any paperwork.
It was, and just somehow I seem to fall into playing the obnoxious, narcissistic doofus character
you were
that I play so very well. I don't know why.
Your character was such a turd in that. It was so funny. But yeah, it was just funny because, like, you know, by the time we were done, I was like, yeah, I mean, was it like our finest work? Like, no, but it just, I don't know. It was so fun. I just look back on that like so fondly. Yeah. Because too, for us, I mean, we went to undergrad, you know, for the 4 years, in my case 5. I changed majors. And, you know, when we were younger, I mean, you could go for 50 hours editing, and you were a little insane by the end at the age of 21. Yeah. But then like fast forward to working a couple years and then graduate school, and we're trying to do this shit, when we were like 25, 26. I was like, everything hurts and I'm dying. Like, after being up that long, I was like, no, like, we're going to bed for like a while because I am done.
Shut it down. I'm not talking to anybody until like Thursday.
I remember the following year, and you know, Tim Roberts, if you're listening, story on you. I really thought you were slipping into madness.
Oh, I thought he was gonna die. Bless him.
Tim kind of
he had a hard time.
Has one foot in the door with madness.
Well, I think
it's his charm.
I think he had
But
been
he was so tired. You know, he was so tired.
Like 59 hours, and like I think he was starting to hallucinate. And like his colleagues were like, "Tim, just go to bed. It's rendering. Just go to bed. You're gonna die."
Yeah, he was. I've never seen that before.
I only did the team once.
Yeah,
I only did the team once. It was part of Blake's.
Yeah,
our mutual friend Blake.
Was that the same year? Did we do it? Did we play the same year?
I think we did.
Okay,
I think we did. But yeah, I just did special effects on one of those films, and I was like, "Yep, not doing that again."
I mean, it's so intense, you know. It's so
I'll
intense.
edit the whole festival,
right?
But I won't be on a team because it quite literally. You will either really love your friends afterwards, or you'll fucking hate.
I have lost a couple friends from past ones. You know what?
It separates the phony tough from the crazy brave.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
Funny. That's funny because I've never been like upset with you after anything like that.
You're married.
Well, we're married, yeah.
I guess. I mean, but like,
I guess we should probably bicker more than anybody, right?
I guess. I don't know. People are always surprised that John and I are married and do film together. They assume we're brother and sister.
That actually
Which
happened.
is gross.
That happened. In
and we were thinking about going with that for like 6 months in graduate
no, we did.
school.
Remember?
With one of our professors.
They did.
We did.
And then we just like started like making out, and he just like
No.
the life left his face.
Come on. No, you like absentmindedly, you went to like go run to the car real quick and you just kissed me on the mouth, not thinking about it, and then all the color left our professor's face because he thought we were brother and sister, and it pissed us off so much that we didn't correct him.
It was pretty awesome.
Oh my god,
it was pretty
Great.
awesome.
But yeah, but I mean, anything like back to like behind the scenes, like any crazy stories, like anything cool that like
that you're
that
able
we wouldn't
to
know.
I really. They all start to blur so much, and and there's just a lot of people that I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't want to,
Sure, no.
So,
I don't even mean like in a negative light. Just did anything like surprise you in particular?
Tell us that juicy gossip.
Did anyone like come out with like this like tear jerker out of left field, and you're just like, whoa?
I can't think of it. Who it was specific? Well, there was one team. Long Knuckle Studios, who they did like I almost shed a tear once they did bring me to a point of like, I got a little welled up a little bit.
Nice.
It was probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
Cool.
Shout out to Dave Cost and Lamar Fields, I believe. There have been there was one Locust Street. They did this ridiculously psychologically gross film called Daisy.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that was
Holy
about
shit.
a guy who kept people as pets, and I like horror movies, but like sometimes, and I really like psychological horror movies, but sometimes those kind of like when humanity is lost.
Yeah,
that's what really just kind of that gets me, and that was just like fucked up film, but it was well done. Like they did what they meant to do. There have been a couple really funny ones. Dave Snyder, he has a team, and he mostly does music videos for Public Enemy, and he's managed to like squeak out a couple of really good comedies.
Nice.
But I think like his actual genres are like mockumentary or something like that. But yeah, there was also, speaking of another mockumentary, was Hustlebot. Their improv team here in Pittsburgh. That was like one of the first years I did it, and they had a really good mockumentary called Shadows of the Shield, and I think it's online. You should look that up. That's really good. That was a really good one. And also another one I think that year was called Ambush, and Justin Cremone was the editor. I don't remember who the rest of the team. I think maybe Chris Neospadansky. I think it may have been his team, but yeah, that was another good one. So I mean, it's just a lot. I mean, a lot of times what really surprised me most is the amount of really good films that do come through. Yeah. And it's like a really it's a lot of work for me to do this every year, but it's also like a summer camp for me.
Yeah, I could see that.
So like, I see all these people, like it's like I don't really see them, most of them, on a normal basis, under normal circumstances, and I see them at kickoff or whatever. It's like, oh, how are you? How's your life going? And blah blah blah. And it's nice to see a lot of the same people again. And every once in a while, there's a couple of bad apples who I want to fight, but for the most part, everybody is like pretty cool, and I enjoy seeing how they have progressed and just like the things that they have learned over the years, and just like even like the things that they put out went on, not just for 48 stuff. And there's also been a couple of teams who have managed to like flesh out their 48 ideas, and which is also really cool too. I've seen a couple of those, and so yeah, it's really it's kind of a proud mama moment sometimes.
I've always seen the 48 as really a test to see what crew members you could use for bigger projects.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, even if it's not your immediate team.
Right.
Like, you might say, oh, you know what? The editor I got for my team didn't really work out. The film kind of ended up looking like shit. But you see some other editor on that team. You go up to him afterwards like, hey, you did a fantastic job. Here's my card. Let's work on something sometime.
And I've heard a lot of stories about that. Like a lot of these guys, they use the screenings as a good time to network. They'll see something they like, they go talk to people. I mean, there's been a couple of years they've formed super teams where like a lot of like all the best from the cream rises to the top, and the best of the best, they all get together.
Super teams.
Yeah. And so it's really cool just to watch them all, get together and everything. And actually what I really enjoy is like when people really do put their egos aside and can appreciate other people's work, and can also appreciate what they have accomplished as well during that weekend, and not get all butthurt about something that that went wrong, or that wasn't right, or that they didn't win an award for something.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I wasn't sure.
The best of an award ceremony is August 11th.
I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that one there.
Well, that to me, I mean, I'm still totally like noob like to that sort of thing, but the idea of like expecting to win anything, like
Right.
that's very far out of my realm.
Yeah.
I just think like it's so participatory. I mean, you know, you pay to play,
Right.
you know, and just I think the things that you learn about yourself are so valuable,
Right.
to like win anything else, like I don't know. I mean, that just never would occur to me.
Yeah.
I guess like in the arts, I'm just kind of hippy dip and I'm not very competitive. I'm competitive with other stuff, but not necessarily the arts. But I can't imagine walking into it and being like, oh my God, this is bullshit that I didn't win this or that. Like, I cannot imagine that.
I mean, honestly, like, and I think those are kind of your bad apples that you kind of were talking
the
about.
ones that just get real negative.
It's absolutely not the majority.
No, not at all.
But I just know, like in the past, there were a couple people who would question why a film won an award and they didn't, and I'm just like, it's not about that,
Right.
You know, I mean, I think you guys have said always that, you know, really you don't have to do.
I don't have to give.
awards.
The only award I have to give out is the best film of Pittsburgh.
Right.
That's it. The rest of them, like they and the audience. No, I don't even have to do that. I don't have to do the audience choice. Like the best cinematography, the best actor, you know, the best use of prop and line dial. I don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
I do that because I feel like it's just an extra special thing.
And
for
it
people
is.
who really deserve it. And also, people don't understand. Like this is just, I get 3 judges every year, and they're never the same 3 judges every year. So it differs. It's their opinion. It's those 3 judges' opinion. Just because those 3 particular people, didn't think your film was the best film in Pittsburgh, doesn't make it a bad film.
No, yeah,
So-
that's right. But
Speaking of bad apples, was there anybody that you guys just had to out and out disqualify? Didn't follow the rules? Were maybe cheating?
And you don't have to like name names or anything.
No,
but if you have like
certainly
good
not, certainly
stories,
not.
that's all.
you don't
There
have
had
to
to be
name names.
There was one year this was like a real kind of messed up situation because it was a year I didn't get a chance to watch everything thoroughly, and I got all the way up to the best of, and there was a film that had won the best film of Pittsburgh, but their film was over time.
Oh shit!
So I had to call them the day I was like on my way to the theater for the best of screening and award ceremony, and I was like, sorry, like your film was like, you know, 7, I think it was like 7.15, 7.5, something like that.
Oh no!
And like, and I tried, like, and I watched that thing like before I left, like, you know, like 3 or 4 more times. I'm like trying to like find like, all right, here it's there. It's like, nope. It was like a solid like 30 seconds over time, and I felt terrible because it was a good film and I thought they deserved it. But and then one of the guys on the team, like the rest of the team, they understood, but one guy on the team wanted to argue with me about it. He wanted to fight me on it. And he wanted me to like bend rules, and he wanted me to like,
you can't do that.
No.
I mean, the thing is, one, you know, you're one city in a group that goes across the world.
Right.
So it's like those rules are put in place across the entire organization.
Exactly.
So you can't just bend the rules and say, oh, well, you know what? It was a great movie, and we're just going to forgive those 30 seconds
Exactly.
when you don't know if, you know, a city in Moscow that does 48
Right.
had a movie the same thing.
Exactly.
You know, that's the thing that they have to understand is it's not just completely local. It's also global
Right.
as well.
And I got people above me too. And, you know,
Yeah.
that gets back to headquarters. And, you know, next thing you know, Kahmeela, we're going to ask you not to produce Pittsburgh's 48-hour film project anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, there was that. And there have been a couple times too where they didn't get as far as like the best of, but there have been people who misinterpret what the character is. Like, and so they had to get disqualified. They, like, I think one year it was a human statue.
I remember that year.
And someone used a mannequin or a statue of a person. And they thought that was okay. They also wanted to argue. There was also
that's when you bring Dan and just go, Dan, sick him.
my husband's a lawyer. Would you like to speak to him? There's also people, the line of dialogue needs to be verbatim.
Oh.
This year the line of dialogue is did you read my tweet? And so like it can't be like, do you want to read my tweets, or have you read my tweets, or, you know, things like that. Right. It needs to be, did you read my tweet? And so there's been times where people have like, there was one year somebody just completely made up a whole new line or something. I was like, where did that even come from?
They just saw a bunch of Christopher Guest movies and were like, you know what? Let's wing it, guys.
You know what? We're going to win by breaking the rules.
So,
Don't think we're rogue.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so yeah, I've had to disqualify some, and I try everything I can. I give everybody as much leeway and as much benefit of the doubt as I possibly can without breaking any actual rules. But there's some things I just, it's out of my hands, and I don't want to disqualify anybody. I want all the films to have an equal chance, and everybody does have an equal chance. They all get the same information at the same time.
That's right. Very cool.
Now you said you guys have 3 judges. Mm-hmm. Is it like hard to find people that want to watch them, or is it by design, or how does that work?
Well, it's always people in the film industry, and it's not hard to find people who are willing to do it. It's a little difficult to have the time to do it. Mm-hmm. The first few years, I think I kind of like shot my load pretty early. I got people like Joe Manganiello and like David Conrad.
I remember when David Conrad did it. Yeah,
and, like
nicely done.
Julie Benz and and like Darla. Yeah, and just like a bunch of like celebrities who were from, but they were all from Pittsburgh, and they had made it big in Hollywood, and then I kind of like either ran out of people, or I ran out of steam of trying to like chase them down.
That's usually it.
I think like the last few years I was just like, you know what, I don't have it in me anymore. So
wait, we got Gallagher too. All right, yeah, fine. That's fine. Get him in here.
Like even though he didn't have any Pittsburgh connection, Nicholas Brendan actually did it one year as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this year we have. Elise DeHane, she is a screenwriter and script story supervisor. I think she's also a professor at Point Park University.
Oh, okay.
Story analyst. There's also Catherine Spitz Cohen. She runs the film festival.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
Newt Calkins. He is a screenwriter and also a story analyst.
I was really hoping you were going to say he's one of the Calkin brothers.
I wish.
One we never heard of. Yeah.
Right. He's a little known Calkin.
Yeah. And he's starring in Richie Rich too.
And he teaches at Filmmakers.
Awesome.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Awesome. Now, since you've had to work with independent filmmakers and judges, you've kind of got a good taste of the film industry in Pittsburgh. What's your take on it? Do you feel that it kind of is going well, or is it not really? Because I'm kind of always been a mixed bag of when people say, "Oh, Pittsburgh's the Hollywood of the East." I'm like, kinda,
sorta, ish. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, where like it's kind of a mixed bag, and unfortunately, I'm not as involved with like the bigger ones bigger films that come shoot here. I think it's more like it's really good if everybody would kind of not be so cliquey. I think that's problematic. I have found in the film industry here in Pittsburgh is that I understand, you find the people that you like to work with and people that do a great job, but there should be more opportunity for people who aren't in your clique or in your immediate circle to like come in and like join the fun and just show what they can do and get a chance to do that. So I mean, I think it's great that there are so many things that are coming to shoot here. It sucks that Outsiders got canceled, and I mean, I'm not gonna get to run into Ryan Hurst on a regular basis anymore.
Oh damn!
That's my big takeaway from the whole thing. But no, like it seems to be like they're on a regular basis. Like there's like 2-3 things shooting here right now. I think, and that's great for those who are working, and I know that there's still like a lot of 48 vets who are still working. They do a lot of their extra work. They do a lot of acting there. There's a lot of PAs and a lot of sound guys and all that stuff. And so yeah, I mean it's kind of
for me, I always felt that it was great for the studios, and it was great for the people who are in the unions, and like they've been doing this for years, and they get called up over and over again. It's not great for anyone who doesn't want to be on set,
right?
Like if you're a post-production person like myself,
right,
or if you're pre-production, and post like you, Elaine, it's not really working for us. And like I've always said, that comes down to infrastructure. Hollywood has post-production houses all over the place. They have sound stages all over the place. They're doing things other than TV series and feature films. They're doing web. They're doing everything else. And I've always felt like Pittsburgh's good at doing Hollywood films, but where's the incentive for the indie filmmaker?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's what I've always felt with the film tax credit. Is it's great for the studios, but if I want to make a movie with a film tax credit, I need to come up with like what, $1 million?
Right, exactly.
So it's like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
there should be more opportunity and like some sort of breaks for those of us who aren't attached to MGM or Paramount or
I mean, especially with online media now, it should be a matter where it's like, okay, well, if you've built up enough of a following and you can kind of say, hey, I can hit this many people, online with a YouTube series or something like that, and you've demonstrated it, then why can't you get a tax break?
Right. The game it's totally different now where it comes to media and entertainment, and it's great because people are watching their movies and TV shows much differently.
Yeah.
There's there's so many more platforms and formats for the indie filmmaker or just just content creators in general, like outside of just YouTube and Vimeo and just Hulu. It would be nice to be able to Amazon. There's just so many other ways, and you're right. Like if you have a following from what you're doing already, and you've already proven yourself, there should be some sort of tax credit or some sort of opportunities.
I think like I believe it was Germany that actually funds independent films.
Really?
Yeah. Like the government actually has said, hey, you know what? Yeah, we'll fund independent films. They don't care whether the content is, and that's the thing. Is like if you want to apply for a grant or something like that,
right.
I mean, you guys have applied for grants and things like that. Right?
I got the filmmakers one.
Yeah, you got the filmmakers one. But
the First Works grant, that's what I used for my thesis.
I mean, there were other grants out there that it's like, well, you have to make a movie that is in this genre.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's like, it has to be
true.
this.
We have this theme, these sort of subject matter.
And I'm like, that is, in my opinion, kind of limiting.
Yeah, well, I mean, with filmmakers, they didn't care about content, but it had to be like your first real rodeo.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, I was so poor. I could not have made that film without that grant. There are times I'll wake up in like a sweat in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh, thank you, filmmakers. Like that thesis film would have never been made because I was so broke.
Well, I think a lot of the time, you do need to be on the production side, like because they want people, to carry cables. You try to get in on kind of a best boy job, a grip job, something along those lines, and kind of work your way up. It's funny. And of course now I can't remember his name, so clearly, we really had a connection. But they had The Disaster Artist is coming out in theaters based on
Franco.
The James Franco movie based on The Room, and they had the guy who was the actual true director of photography and director and basically everything on the film, because Tommy Wiseau didn't know what he was doing. Come and talk about how it was just madness working for Sandy Schcler.
Sandy Schcler.
And they had him come to the Hollywood, just how it was madness working with Tommy Wiseau, and
he was the coolest dude. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. He was just so cool.
And I just ended up talking to him, and we hit it off, and I think he must have thought this guy's crazy because I think this is his favorite movie, which it is.
It is your favorite movie.
Wait, I'm sorry. The Room is your favorite movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
He likes entropy and irony a lot.
Okay.
That's what I keep telling myself anyway.
And he ended up, we were talking right before he left, and he said, you should, next week come down to the set.
Because was he doing that Nickelodeon show at the time?
I think so, yeah. And maybe, there's something we can find. I think we ended up having to go out of town. We had to go to Boston.
We did.
But I was, I probably would have arrived there, and he would have been like, hey, go hand this to that guy,
right?
And go get this copy. But maybe if I had hustled a lot, maybe I would have gotten some kind of connection. Hey, maybe next time we'll let you plug something in.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: I don't deny that, and I believe that too. I mean, I've done PA, I've done grip stuff, that sort of thing. I'm just saying, like, if you're out in Los Angeles or New York or even like Atlanta, they've got an infrastructure in place where, let's say you did. Some grip stuff, you've done some PA stuff, but you really have interest in post-production. So maybe instead of running on the set that way, you're doing assistant. You're doing DIT stuff. Stuff that would lead to an editing position, because ultimately, you know, you can start off a PA, but you in your head you really know what you want to do, what your track is.
Right.
So it's like the longer you take to get to that track, the harder it is, I think. And I just think that if you want to be a film worker and work on set, Pittsburgh's not a bad town for that. But if you want to do anything other than that, and there's a lot in the film industry that there is to do, you know, it's kind of hard at the current moment. You know, that's kind of all I'm saying. Like, I love visual effects. I love post-production. It's not really here, though.
Well, too, I think the sticky thing about, you know, the multimedia arts, like you said, you know, multimedia is more of the thing, right? You know, because, you know, when the economy was great and money was coming out of everybody's asses, you had a video guy or girl, and you had a web guy or girl. Now that's the same person.
Right.
Ever since, like, you know, money has been tight.
And they want to pay you less than either of them.
Yeah, to do both.
Yeah.
So you have to not only, you know, have the chops, you know, from a video filmmaking standpoint, but you also have to know everything about the internet and about coding and about making a website and running a website, you know, so that I think that's sticky too, and I think that's a big roadblock for filmmakers in the area as well.
So filmmakers just got to know everything.
Just know it all. Learn
you
everything,
know
kids.
all things.
Did you take care of that social media? Haven't you read my tweet?
Not verbatim, but close.
You're so close. Did you read my tweet, right?
Did you read my tweet? That's it. I just got disqualified.
You did get disqualified. You tried, though. You tried, though. Just don't fight about it, all right?
So, Kahmeela, again, when is the 40-hour film project screenings?
The screenings are this Friday, July 21st at Group A is 7 p.m. at the Oaks Theater.
Okay.
And then on Saturday, July 22nd, Group B will screen at 6:30 p.m. And then Group C will be at 9:30 p.m. All at the Oaks Theater. Tickets are $8 to $10. If you look at us on Facebook, Pittsburgh 48-Hour Film Project. We have events with links to the tickets, where to buy tickets. They'll also be sold at the door. And also 48hourfilm.com/Pittsburgh. You can also find links.
Where can I find more about you? And you have
About
a podcast
me?
too, right?
I have 3 podcasts.
3?
There might be a 4th one coming.
Buffy one's my favorite.
Thanks.
Overachiever
Speaking
much?
of, I just addictive personality much. The Buffy one is revisiting Sunnydale, where my friend and co-host Marcella and I are going back to Sunnydale one episode at a time. So we're just like reviewing and snarking our way through the rest. I mean, you know, it's all snarky, but it's all through love, because we just love Buffy. Yeah. We're on season 4 now. The other one is the Rugged Angel cast, where I talk to different women. It's all about female empowerment and celebration of women. So basically every guest I have is female. I also I have the show is also on WMCK.FM, which is internet radio, and I get to play music on there because they have licensing for that stuff.
That's awesome.
And I only play women artists.
Nice.
And that's on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. And then the third one is Down to Watch, and that is my husband and I. And occasionally, when my husband can't make it because he has a real job, I have other guests who come on and just help me review movies and TV and sometimes music. So yeah,
cool.
I'm
Awesome.
ruggedangel.com basically is probably the best place to find where all my junk is.
All things Kahmeela.
All of Kahmeela's junk can be found there.
Yes, all things Carmela.
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on.
Well, thank you.
I know our listeners in Pittsburgh area definitely better get down to 48.
Please do. We want to see you out
And
there,
watch
and you
them.
want to see some awesome films.
They really are.
Go do it. Go out there.
Yeah, it's not just for, you know, people in the film community. It's if you've never gone, it's actually a
It's
riot.
awesome.
Because every film has like the same buzzwords, the same props, and it's just amazing to see what people do with different
Right.
genres. Yeah, it's a good time for all. So pop out.
Well, thank y'all for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Lane, where can they find you on the Twitters?
You can find me at Twitter at LA_Croft.
You can find me at the Unreal J Wolves.
And you can find me at Brian Coddington. I also run the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw our way, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. And make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Send us a rate, send us a review. We love getting those. And be sure to catch our new episode available every Sunday.
And never forget, there is no fate but what we make for ourselves.